Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining our Tourism Tuesday. You guys have been on this before with me, you know the drill. Today we are going to be taking charge of the reins and we're going to take you through something called From Buying to Belonging, which is a little bit of a marketing communications journey that I have developed over a few months essentially. So I'm hoping to share some insights that I have discovered doing quite a lot of research into the communications content marketing space in a time of COVID. Hopefully you'll walk away with some key tips and tricks to use in your own businesses. And of course, as usual, we are recording this. So if you need to watch it back or if you'd like to forward it to somebody in your marketing or your communications team, please do feel free to do so. Would also love to get any questions that you'd like to pose. The chat is open and I can see some of you are already using the chat. So please feel free to throw any comments or questions in the chat and I will deal with them as soon as I'm done with the presentation. And one last final little request from me, and I'm going to ask Danielle as well, just to keep observant, everyone on mute so that we can make sure that we're just eliminating any background noise. Right, are we ready to go? Thumbs up. Yes, 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 thumbs up. Okay, off we go. From buying to belonging. Right. So when I was doing the research into how to change my own marketing and marketing on behalf of people in the tourism industry, I came across quite a lot of very, very scary statistics, and they are on the right-hand side of your screen. So in the past, we could create content, we could post on social media, we could do videos, we could send newsletters, and people to a certain extent would hear us. Unfortunately, it's getting harder and harder to break through the noise. Every day, 4.4 million new blog posts are 350 million new photos are uploaded to Facebook, and 1 billion hours of YouTube videos are watched. Now, this is for the entire world, and this is not specific just to the tourism industry, but you guys know that the tourism industry is one of the most competitive spaces to stand out. And when you look at the level of content that is getting produced by brands, by individuals, it's really, really, really difficult to stand out. So the days of creating content just to say, I'm here, aren't enough anymore. Mass marketing has changed. It's gone from a marketing person like myself across lots of different platforms to lots of different people to very niche micro audiences. So now you've got a whole bunch of people who are involved in creating marketing and creating content, whether they know it or not, across a whole bunch of different platforms, from the internet to email, to social media, to dark social, which is something I'm going to talk about in a second, to a very fragmented audience, to a whole bunch of micro communities. Some of them are really, really, really small. And so the message needs to be particularly resonant for those micro communities. You can't just blitz, spray and pray, and hope that people will pay attention to you anymore. So in a world of COVID, how has marketing changed? Our future customers come from our current customers, which means we have to outcare our competition to turn those people who love us and work with us to be our advocate on our behalf. Now, this is a bit of a mouthful, but there's a lot of very, very important information on this slide. You guys will all know in the last 10 months, certainly, that you have probably been added to a myriad of WhatsApp groups. Am I right? Am I wrong? So WhatsApp has become your life. You also most likely belong to a whole bunch of Facebook groups that are closed groups like Tourism in My Blood, which before you would not have belonged to. Now, if I am a brand, let's say I am Natalia brand, and I am wanting to promote myself, I, in the past, probably would have put a really nice website together and a lovely social media company page on behalf of brand Natalia. And I would have communicated with my customers on my brand Natalia Facebook page and brand Natalia website. Unfortunately, the conversations that are happening in a time of COVID are not happening on that beautiful page that I have designed. They are happening in what we call a dark social space. They are happening on closed Facebook groups. They are happening on WhatsApp groups. And you will have seen that for yourself in the tourism industry, where a peer in the tourism industry posts on the WhatsApp group saying, "Hi guys, can you please recommend a lodge in the Sabi Sands for my clients? Can you please recommend blah, 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 blah." So now the level of peer recommendation and review that is happening is beyond next level. And I, as a brand, do not have control over that, except to plant the seed in the people who love me to talk on my behalf and advocate on my behalf when I am not in the room. So marketing has shifted from telling people about you and to what the benefit is for them, to getting people who love you and support you to speak on your behalf when you are not in the room. So the way to do that is to outcare your competition, to make them feel like they belong to the tribe of Brand Natalia, so that when a conversation happens in a dark social space, they are there to advocate on your behalf, because you will not necessarily be in that space. Hopefully you're still with me. Can I have a thumbs up if you are, or a nod? Great. So what does marketing look like today? It's about serving more and selling less. And you know in your own world how we have shifted to this world of craving humanity, craving human brands, craving empathy, looking for that human connection. It's not just about, I am brand X and I have this to offer. It's about, how can I, as brand X, help my customer? It's all about helping. And sometimes helping is just answering questions for no other purpose but to outcare your competitors. So lean in with your heart, not with your head when it comes to marketing, and turn your followers into fans. Turn your clients into advocates. Turn your community into people who collaborate with you, like we are a community here today, and turn your team into evangelists. You have a whole bunch of people who need to talk about you in a favorable way when you are not in the room, to quote Jeff Bezos, and he's the richest man on earth for a reason. So the future of social is private. We are looking for more niche and intimate communities to make conversation. Think about those WhatsApp groups. Think about those Facebook groups. Think about the new buzzword around Clubhouse and these communities of conversations that are happening. They're happening at a very niche, very micro level, and very relevant content for that specific little community. Sometimes only 20 people, only 40 people, very, very, very small community. The days of really resonating with a large mass audience are over for now. Who knows if that will come back? So as the internet is becoming increasingly tailor-made, we are looking for these smaller, more thoughtful communities so that we can connect on that very, very human level. And if you can create a community, if you can create a tribe of people who advocate on your behalf, you will be doing yourself such a service in the marketing space, because you have very little money right now. I know that. And if you are leveraging your existing customers and reminding them, making them feel something for the experience that they had with you previously, they will advocate on your behalf. How do we do that? We do that through content. And I acknowledge content is a word that I, as a marketer, use very often without thinking whether or not you understand what I mean when I say content. Content is anything that provides information, entertains, is informative, is insightful, is funny, anything that resonates with your customer. And in a world of COVID, there is such an uncertainty gap. Our customers have more questions than they've ever had before. And they are reaching out to you on a constant basis, asking you to solve the problems that they have from an information perspective. So if you take anything away from today, other than the fact that you need advocates to advocate on your behalf, it is that all you need to do to outcare your competitor is to start answering their questions, and to do it from a place of empathy. And sometimes those questions are very silly because you think, well, they should know better. But still, there is uncertainty. And if ever you were going to show your worth, if you were an intermediary like a DMC or a travel agent, it would be now, because they are looking to you as the expert to answer the questions that they've got. So have a page on your website with FAQs where you are constantly updating the question and the response, and spread that amongst your customer base so that they really, really understand what it is that you can offer from an expert perspective. We don't capture and hold the attention of our customers because a lot of the content that we create, a lot of the information we create is just noise. We feel pressurized to post on social media once a day, and so we post noise. We feel pressurized to put out a newsletter on a weekly basis, and so we push out noise. It is better to do it fewer times and to really find out what will resonate with your customer than to do it loads of times and to add to the noise. Think about it from the perspective of that you are actually stealing the time of your customers if you are not giving them information that helps them. You know how precious your time is. You want to make sure that the information and the content you give your customer is worthy of the time that they're investing in paying attention to you. Still with me? Thumbs up, nod? Yes, great. Okay, so to my point, I want you to focus on value over volume. I want you to resist the peer pressure of pushing out noise for the sake of noise. And I want you to think about what is going to emotionally trigger your customer. How can you remind them about the amazing experience they've had with you previously? How can you appeal to their senses? How can you make them reminisce your current customer base, not your new customer? I want you to focus on your existing customers, your customers that have either been with you for a long time or have used you once before. How can you remind them about the experience that they had with you so that you trigger an emotional connection? That's the first step. You can build loyalty with them by really, really honing in on what it is that they want and need. And if you are anything like me right now, good Lord in heaven, I need a holiday. Okay, so try and trigger that. Try and make me remember what it felt like to be free, what it felt like to be experiencing what you have to offer. That's the connection that you've got to develop. So one really well-researched, well-structured blog or video built around what it is that your customer really, really, really needs is better than writing 5 blog posts that just contribute to the noise. It has a lot better chance of getting picked up by your existing customer base and them distributing it than you pushing out content that's not going to resonate. The random acts of content are no more. There is just too much noise out there. So really think about the information that's going to trigger their emotional well-being, their ability to reminisce over what it is that you gave them, and produce one really thoughtful, emotionally connecting piece of content that you can distribute to your existing customer base, because your existing customers are your fans. So start with answering the question, why should my customer care? Not, what do you want to say? And I'm going to let that settle for a second, because a lot of what we do in the tourism industry, and I talk about this often, is we want people to know that we are a game lodge or a guest house or a DMC, and this is what we have to offer. So what? Who cares? You've got to ask yourself what it is your customer wants to hear. That is the departure point. It's got very little to do with what it is that you want to say, because you don't want to force your way into people's lives. Your goal needs to be around making a difference to them. So it's not, I own a game lodge or I have a guest house and I offer X. It's because of what I have, this is how you are going to feel. This is how you are going to benefit. That is what our audience wants to hear. So we've got to flip the messaging from what I want to say to what my customers want to hear. And when you write a sentence and you look at your website, I want you to look at it from that lens. What is it about what I am saying here that has real benefit to my customer? And I'm not pushing the message out. I'm not forcing my way into their lives. I'm saying that I exist to make them better. So being able to impress your buyer is about more than knowing who they are. It's about adding to who they are. It's about building information and content to answer their questions, to solve their problem, and to impress them. It's all about them and not about you. So you have to park your ego at the door, you have to park your brand at the door, and you have to genuinely want to lean in and help your customer. And if your customer can see that genuine desire to assist them, to impress them, they will advocate on your behalf. So there is a point of relevance that sits in the middle of all of this, the sweet spot, if you will. On the left-hand side, it's all about them. It's what they care about. It's the problem that they're trying to solve. In my case, I need a holiday. I need a break. That's my problem. Okay. On the right-hand side, what is it that we care about? What is it that the gay lodge cares about or the guest house cares about? And the sweet spot sits in the middle. The sweet spot is where you are relevant, and all of the information that you are distributing from a marketing and communication perspective has to sit in the sweet spot. And it can be answered with the question, how what makes you special solves their problem? So it's about what I have to do and what I have to say and what they care about. That's the sweet spot. What is it about Game Lodge X that is special that solves the problem for your customer? What is it about Guest House X or DMC X or Travel Agent X that makes you special that solves the problem of your customer? That is the point of relevance that you need to go after. That is the Holy Grail. And you can see on the left-hand side, if all you did was focus on the problems of your customers and what they're going through, you would be a charity. And if all you did was spoke about how amazing you are, how wonderful you are, how incredible you are, and all the stuff you have to offer, you become too salesy and people switch off. So your why, this point in the middle, is not about you. It's about enabling your customers to connect to their why. It's about enabling your customer to have the best imaginable, unimaginable experience when they visit South Africa or Botswana or Namibia or wherever it is they're going. It's about making them better, a better future version of themselves. It's about adding to them, not taking away. Your marketing is about adding to them. And the first step to doing that is looking at who you are, what you do, and how you show up in the world to serve. So before you even go down the path of who it is that you're trying to target and how it is that you're going to go about doing it, you've got to really dial into who you are. And big companies have these things called brand manifestos, but it's not just a big company that needs to have a brand manifesto. Any company that exists today that has a customer base, and let's face it, if you are a company, you sell to someone, needs to have a very clear idea about who they are, what they do, and how they show up in the world. Apple, for example, is not a technology provider. People buy Apple products because they feel that they are part of the Apple tribe. Because the Apple tribe is the Apple brand manifesto rather, is promising them a certain experience. You can feel it. It's the same with things like Patagonia clothing. Patagonia clothing is not a clothing brand. Patagonia is a way of life. And the content that Patagonia creates is all around adventure, resilience. It appeals to a particular tribe of people who are interested in that kind of lifestyle. And because they are affiliating with that tribe, they will buy Patagonia clothing. Not because the clothing looks good or it's high quality, but because they feel like they belong to that tribe, and they are going to refer that brand because they have a sense of belonging. That is what you are wanting to build, a sense of belonging. So my final point on this buying to belong journey is that when you feel the temptation to blitz a whole bunch of stuff on social media just because someone told you it was a really good idea to post on social media once a day, when you feel you need to send a newsletter out once a week and you've got nothing to say, when you feel that you are wanting to host an event and you have nothing to say, random acts of content are actually damaging for your brand, because you will be the person in the room who shouts a lot and says nothing, instead of the person in the room who says very little, but when they speak, people pay attention because it's noteworthy. So don't be the person who talks the empty vessel with a lot of noise. Don't be that person. Be the person that's considered about the message, so that when you do talk, when you do say something, people know that it's something of substance and they pay attention to it. And I'll leave you with this last little statistic, which is a very, very scary statistic. And you guys can see it in your own lives. 5% of the content that is created in the world generates 90% of engagement, which means that 95% of the money and the time that you put into creating content is a random act of content and a complete and utter waste of time and money. So 5% of what you do is going to land. Make sure that you're spending more time on getting that 5% right, instead of all your time and money on getting the 95% right when it does absolutely nothing for you. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me. I can see there's some stuff in the chat. FAQs on social media platforms, yes, Peter, and anywhere really. Anywhere where your customers are going to be, anywhere where your tribe plays. There's a lot of activity happening on dark social at the moment, and we post to dark social platforms a lot. I don't know those of you who are on the Clubhouse app or have experimented with Clubhouse app. I'm going into that rabbit hole at the moment, and it's a little bit of a scary rabbit hole for me. But a lot of the conversations are happening in that dark social space, and that's where all the peer recommendations are happening. Okay, let's have a look. Uta, I would love to house sit, but I have 4 of my own brats to house sit. So thank you so much for the offer. I really appreciate it. Don't shout, rather listen. Yes, absolutely. And I think that that's the problem, is that we feel like we have to add to the noise. We whip ourselves up into a frenzy and we think, oh, we've got to post on Facebook once a day, and we've got to post on Insta 3 times a day, and these are the right hours to post. No, it's whatever works for your customer. If your customers are not on Facebook, don't bother. If your customer's preference is to receive information via email, use that as your platform. Or perhaps you have a WhatsApp group, whatever. Make sure that whatever platform you are using is the platform where you reach your customers. Yes, Mara, you're absolutely right. If you get an email from the same person, sometimes twice a day, you delete them. And that's what I was saying about the noise. If you talk, and you don't say anything of substance, what you are doing is you are training your audience to believe that anything that you put out is going to be rubbish, so they don't need to read it, which is problematic, and it's a total waste of your time. Any other comments or questions for me? Anybody want to ask a question live? You're welcome to use one of the non-verbal cues and I can call on you. Louise, in terms of making your clients your advocates, how much do you think it is value for them to know you personally as the manager and owner, as opposed to sharing about you as the brand? How can you tie these two together? That is such a good question, Louise. And I think if I were to ask you about how you want to connect with brands at the moment, and this is certainly the case in the last 10 months, people want to connect with people. people need that level of human connection. And so I always advocate having the faces of people in my marketing, having the voices of people in my marketing, so that it's not just a faceless brand. So wherever you can bring in the warmth of your people and build that human connection, I would certainly recommend that you do that. And video is a really good way of doing that. And video used to be a really expensive thing to do, but now with Zoom, you could literally just record yourself having a Zoom meeting on your own. And I know it's a bit awkward, but people need to hear a voice. They need to see a face instead of written text. So as much as you can do video, I would definitely suggest that you incorporate that human voice and the human face in your marketing. Gisela, your thoughts on how to use your customers as ambassadors to change the current international perception about South Africa? Of course you would ask me that. Okay, so there is a lot of messaging happening internationally about this South African variant. And it irritates me to a certain extent because it's a naming convention for a virus. So if a virus is first found somewhere, that's what you call it by the name of the place that it's with or come from. And that's not fair, because we have some amazing scientists who are actively looking for variants to help our global community. So I think every person in this room that has a customer base can communicate that message to their constituents. And tomorrow we are having a meeting to talk about some of the messaging that we would like to put out as an industry globally around South Africa's reputation as a destination in times of COVID. And it is my fervent hope that everybody on the call, once we've communicated this message, will look at the platforms that they've got available to them and put their hand up and say, "Hi, Natalia, I would love to put something in my newsletter. Can you give me some information to send to my customers?" Or I have a really active Facebook page. I'm really happy to put some of this messaging on my Facebook page for you, because together we're like an army of marketers. We all have our own databases. We all have our own marketing platforms. And if we give you the messaging and the communication and the assets to push out to your databases, hopefully you can be our ambassadors, and hopefully you can persuade your loyal customers to be our ambassadors because they remember what it was like to come to South Africa. Any other questions? I feel like I've done all the talking, which I have. Fantastic, thank you, Peter. And all of us have got, all of us have got platforms and networks to push this message out. We've just got to make sure we are aligned and we're sending out the same message at the same time for it to be truly powerful. So we will most certainly send it through to everyone. We're having our meeting tomorrow, so hopefully by the end of the week, we'll send you some stuff. Okay, no other questions? Hopefully it's been helpful. Okay, before I let you go, guys, a little appeal from me. I'm always asking you to do stuff, but you guys are so good. So you will know that we are doing our Lifting Others campaign at the moment, all about gratitude for the people in our industry that give us a hand up. And we have started posting our Lifting Others stories on the South Africa's Travel Ready website. But we would love some more nominations from you guys. So people in your life, not just during times of COVID, who have given you a hand up, who've lifted you, who have seen your potential, who have supported you. And I stress, not just in times of COVID. We would love to feature them. We would love to share your gratitude publicly by telling their story. So we are trying to get 21 of these profiles done in the next couple of months. And all it takes from your side is an email to info@traveltosouthafrica.org, info@traveltosouthafrica.org, to say, "Hi, South Africa's Travel Ready. This person has been pivotal in my life's journey. They're amazing and they deserve to be publicly acknowledged. Their name is blah de blah. And this is what they have done for me, blah de blah. We will do the rest." So it's that easy. So I'm hoping let me see how many people on this call, 38 people, that this evening you send me an email to tell me who it is that's lifted you up. And for those people that have already done so, our eternal gratitude, because what you do is you remind our industry that it comprises some amazing individuals and that actually we all can play some role in lifting others up, all of us. Okay, any last questions? Comments? Want me to bugger off so that you can go off and drink wine? I want to just thank, bugger off, thanks, Uta. I want to just thank all of you for being such a great support and for lifting us as the South Africa's Travel Ready Collective. I have Dion, Collett, Gisela, and Danielle who are on this call today, who are all integral parts of our South Africa's Travel Ready initiative. And we will keep fighting on your behalf, and we will keep promoting you, and we will keep reminding you how much we love you and how much you belong to us and we belong to you. So remember, from buying to belonging, it's all about belonging. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you have a lovely evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for another Tourism Tuesday. Great to see you. Cheers.